Hello Terra Mystica fans, and welcome to the first video in a new series of videos in which I will look at particular interesting games and analyze how the games progressed. So this will mean that I will be able to look at some games that I played personally, but more interestingly, I'll be able to take some of the more interesting games off Snellman once I've worked out how to download the step-by-step progress on the site. I'll be able to analyze some of the games from the really top players in the world, and you can sort of see if you would make the same decisions in certain situations that they actually made in historic games. So that's really something for the future. So today what I'm going to look at is a game I played that I play in a group of people. We've been playing together in our sort of playing group for almost a year now. It's a 4-player game, this one, and we played on the Loon Lakes map, which is, I've probably said in another video, is actually my favorite map. It's very tight here at the beginning especially. The continents tend to be quite small, and these sort of very narrow land bridges sort of joining them together. And we really need to use a lot of shipping to move around on this map. But players tend to sort of open up on this central continent here and then down in the southern part here. And at the beginning, it's a real melee, and players sort of find themselves getting cut off. But at the same time, a lot of power is shared around too. But the nature of the map, and sort of later on in the game, factions tend to spread off into the sides and the corners, and it becomes a little bit less tense. But because of the map and players getting cut off very easily, we do see some sort of major swings in the game, which makes it very exciting. And it's sort of more important to watch your opponents, because sort of tactical play is far more evident in these games, because if you're sort of behind, you can sort of cut off your opponents and produce a complete swing in the way the game plays out. So a very exciting map, and it makes it far more tense, really, especially at the beginning of the game. So in this game, we'll have a look now at the round scoring. So we can see in round 1, we've got Sanctuary Stronghold. And then in the final round, we've got Trading Posts. We've got Temple in round 2, Trading Post scoring in round 3, and then Dwelling, Trading Post in round 6. But of note is in round 2, building temples, because a lot of factions really like to open with a temple in round 1. But of course, we're going to be building Sanctuary Stronghold in round 1, which is a very expensive structure. So having enough resources to build a temple in round 2 is pretty tough. But of course, we need temples in the game to provide priest income. Now, this cult bonus is also very important, because, as everybody knows, coins are quite difficult to come by in Terra Mystica. The coin economy is very important. So taking advantage of this cult bonus is crucial, really, I think in this particular setup, especially as we can see this fire cult bonus in round 1. So if you can get 1 or 2 priests into the fire cult in round 1 and get some workers as a bonus, you're also going to get 2 or 4 coins, or maybe more if you can get more priests into the cults there at the end of round 2. And so that's going to give you a real good start in the game, and progress up the fire cult will then reward you again at the end of round 5. So that's something to bear in mind. Also, thinking about favor tiles with Trading Posts in round 6, and in round 3, that might make the Water 1 favor tile a little bit more valuable in this game. And of course, the Earth 1 is going to be valuable too, with dwelling scorings in round 4 and 5. So next thing we're going to look at is the bonus cards. Not particularly that much to talk about. The 3 power and 1 worker bonus card is missing. The Sanctuary Stronghold scoring bonus card is missing. Now that's quite significant, bearing in mind a lot of people are going to be building Sanctuary or Stronghold in round 1, so could potentially have scored a lot from that particular bonus card. And the other one that's missing is the Dwelling scoring bonus card as well, which is a good way to score points through the second half of the game. So perhaps that might make the cults a little bit more important in this game. The priest is available, the dig is available. Always worth noting those, because that really can denote some of the factions that you would pick. Without the spade, there's certain factions that you wouldn't want to pick, but we won't talk too much about that now. The other thing I should mention is, because we are playing the expansion rules, we have expansion scoring tile available, which in this particular game was the greatest distance. So once you've finished the game and you've joined up your network's been joined up, the distance between the furthest two structures, the furthest structures in your network, the distance, the number of hexes between them is counted up, and the player with the greatest distance gets 18 points. So that, as well as ordinary network scoring in the game, means a big joined up network is going to be pretty fruitful in this game. So bear that in mind, greatest distance, when we come to choose our factions. So let's move on to the faction selection part of the game. Now, as I've already said, this is a 4-player game against players that I'm very, very used to playing against. And I was actually in seat 4 in this game. I just want to say that playing against players that when you've got a sort of game group, it makes it more interesting, because it sort of adds another layer. You can sort of see the playing styles of certain players and sort of learn how to perhaps play against that particular player rather than just that particular faction. So the player in player 1, which faction did he choose? Now, if it was me, I'd be looking at perhaps the Chaos Magicians or the Nomads. Now, let's look at the Chaos Magicians first. We can see that the cult bonus at the end of round 1 will be particularly good, because the Chaos Magicians already start off on step 2 on that fire cult. But the problem with the Chaos Magicians is they really want to be building their Sanctuary in round 1. And to do that, they need the Sanctuary Stronghold bonus card, which isn't in the game. And the second thing they could go for to build the Sanctuary in round 1 is the 3 power and 1 worker, which also isn't in the game. But even if those cards were in the game, the chances are the Chaos Magicians wouldn't get them, because they'd probably be picked by other players, because in seat 1 you're going to be the last person to choose your bonus card. So this really does weaken the Chaos Magicians a lot in this setup. But the Nomads, they do have progress, but only 1 on this fire cult, so can't necessarily take advantage. But on this map, the Nomads are particularly strong, maybe more with edge scoring rather than distance scoring, but still on this map, because they start with 3 initial dwellings. They do get a bit of an advantage, especially if one of their structures gets cut off. It doesn't matter so much with the Nomads. So I'd probably be looking at potentially the Nomads. But what did the first player choose? Well, first player actually chose a faction that he quite often goes for, which was the Yetis. Now, he chose the Yetis. He's been playing the Yetis quite a lot recently, and he's been very successful with them. And what he will do is build the Stronghold on round 1, which of course in this game is perfect, and get a lot of leech. And then he will perhaps take the double dig and also take a lot of priests, because the Yetis, once they've built their Stronghold, they can take as many power actions as they like. And also the Stronghold has a power value of 4 rather than 3 with the Yetis. So people building next to the Yetis send them loads of power, and they can get as many power actions as they can. Obviously, they do need to spend power to do that, but for each power action, it actually costs them 1 fewer power than the other factions. So, for example, a priest would normally be 3 power. It would only cost them 2 power, so that's a huge discount, really. So the Yetis can get loads of priests and throw those into the fire cult, getting these worker bonuses at the end of round 1, and then coin bonuses at the end of round 2. So, and then more bonuses at the end of round 4. So that's the reason he's gone for the Yetis. Now, what color did he choose? What color did he choose? Well, he actually went for red. He actually chose red. Now, why did he choose red? Now, this player will often choose the color, a particular color, to stop another faction that he doesn't want being picked by his opponent. So he's probably thinking to stop Chaos Magicians being picked. Although I don't think Chaos Magicians would be that great, but maybe picking them in seat 4 might help. But really, it's without the 3 power and 1 worker or the Sanctuary Stronghold bonus card, it's difficult for the Chaos Magicians. But that's probably the reason he picked red. If it was me, I'd probably go for yellow, actually, and stop the Nomads being picked. Okay, so, but anyway, this player has been quite successful with the Yetis, with that strategy that I just mentioned, going crazy on the priests and double dig in round 1 after building that stronghold. But then in this particular game, we hadn't actually learned how to oppose that strategy, but we've sort of come up with ways of opposing that. And give you an example, one game we played after this game was played on the original map, as you can see here. And he chose the Yetis and he chose black. And the other factions, which often happens when you choose black, was sort of, when you choose, say, the Darklings, then you find the other players sort of putting their initial dwellings over the other side of the board, and you think, well, I'm going to get cut off with these Darklings over this side. Should I place one of my Darklings over here? But with the Yetis, he'd chosen black, and he'd put his first initial structure here. And I was Nomads, and so I could quite easily go over the other side of the board with the other players. But what I decided to do was place one of my Nomad initial structures here, and hope that the Yetis decided to place their second structure here. And then my plan was not to do anything with this structure, leave it for the whole game and give him no leech at all, and leave him sort of over this side, stranded over here. It would also help because the extra scoring tile in the game was cluster scoring, so I could just join this dwelling up with my network, and it would count as an extra structure to my final structure score in the network. And so I could get points for that without having to develop it through the game. And of course, the Nomads having 3 initial dwellings was useful. And so with the cluster scoring, you don't necessarily need to build 3 towns. You often find building that final town is going to give you fewer structures. So I was quite happy to leave that dwelling throughout the game. And what he did was actually did go there, expecting to get some leech, I suppose. And the game hasn't finished yet, but so far it's been working out to plan. The Nomads are doing quite well. Anyway, that happened in that game. And then in a later game, when I was playing a ranked game, you can see here, I actually decided to play the Yetis myself against some higher ranked opponents, and they did pretty much the same thing. I placed my initial structure in sort of central locations, and everyone's just avoided me, staying away from me and going over the left-hand side. These are the real, the Swarmlings and the Nomads were very, very highly ranked players working together over this side, and of course the Chaos Magicians have been left over here. So perhaps that is a good strategy to play against the Yetis. So what player would be chosen second in this setup? Well, I would still myself be looking at the Nomads, but actually what was picked was the Oran. Now, I still really don't know why the Oran was picked. Perhaps looking at getting the cult steps in the fire cult with the stronghold bonus, because the Oran obviously want to build their stronghold in round 1. And also, when the Oran build their stronghold, they get a favor tile. So perhaps they were thinking of getting the Earth 1 favor nice and early with that. But not so great, I think, the Oran in this setup. Difficult to form a large network, so perhaps getting the greatest distance. But we'll see how they do. So what would be picked third? Now, I would still be looking at the nomads, but in third place, the third place player went for the fakirs. Now, the fakirs, again, not so great. Do they really want to be opening with Sanctuary Stronghold? Not so good, because the Stronghold with the fakirs is so expensive, and the Sanctuary won't really develop their economy. So I don't think the fakirs is a great pick. This player is a good player, but he likes to be very experimental. He likes to try different factions, so I have to respect that. But I'm not so sure the fakirs are a great pick. If you pick the fakirs, you want to be picking them from seat 4 and making sure you have no color neighbors. So of course he has the Yetis as a color neighbor. Now maybe he didn't spot that. Maybe he didn't spot the Yetis was a color neighbor, but he must have done. So anyway, now it's my turn to pick a faction. So obviously I can't pick the nomads now. To avoid a color neighbor, I would need to pick a black faction. And the strongest black faction is the Darklings. But knowing we've got Sanctuary Stronghold in round 1, now the Darklings can build their Sanctuary in round 1, but they need to get a lot of leech to do that. And will probably get cut off in the process. The Alchemists would be the obvious choice. Now, do bear in mind that this is balanced victory points. So look at the fakirs. They have 28 points to start off with, and the Oran 24, and Yetis 23. So I think the I'm not sure how many points the Alchemists have, but they would certainly be balanced. But I'd played the Alchemist quite recently, and so I wasn't particularly, and on this map, so I wasn't particularly keen on playing the Alchemists. So I chose one of the expansion factions to compete against the Yetis. I didn't think the fakirs and the Oran would be too much problem, but so I thought I'd go for one of the expansion factions. Now, which expansion faction would you go for? My idea was to cause trouble for the other players and try to get that greatest distance scoring points. So to cause a lot of problems for the others, the biggest one really is the Dragon Lords. But I don't think the setup is particularly good for the Dragon Lords, because they certainly don't want to be building their Sanctuary or Stronghold in round 1. If it was dwelling scoring in round 1, then certainly the Dragon Lords I would go for. And then if it was Temple and a trading post in round 2, yeah, then I would think about the Dragon Lords. So the Dragon Lords were out of the question. I can't go for the Ice Maidens because they have the Ice faction, the Yetis, have been chosen. And of course, there's the Shapeshifters, the River Walkers, and the Acolytes. Now, I've never played the Acolytes before. I do want to start learning how to play the Acolytes. So I actually chose, can you guess what it is? The River Walkers. I chose the River Walkers from seat 4. So just put up that graphic. There we are. There's the River Walkers. And then it was my turn to choose a color for the River Walkers. Now, obviously, if I was to go for black, I would have no color neighbor. But River Walkers, they don't need to terraform any of the hexes. They just need to unlock hexes, unlock a color, and then they can have that color as if it were their own. So they start off by unlocking one particular color. And then later in the game, each time they get a priest, they can either choose to keep the priest to use in the cult tracks, or they can use it to unlock any color, even colors that are owned by an opponent. And so I thought we don't need to worry about color neighbors. In fact, color neighbors would be a good thing in this game because it would cause more trouble to the opponents. So what I decided to do was choose gray. And that's going to give color neighbors to the Oran and to the Yetis, who would be sandwiched. I thought the Yetis would be my biggest opposition in this game, with the Oran and the Fakirs already being chosen, quite weak factions. So I thought if I color sandwich the Yetis by going for grey, maybe this would be a good tactic in this game. So I chose grey, and yeah, obviously I wanted to go for that longest network, and I wasn't going to build my sanctuary stronghold in round one. I was going to go for my temple in round one, which obviously is going to make it very difficult to build a temple in round two, but I really wanted to get the priest income and get a priest down in round two to get some coins coming in. So that was my idea, and I also wanted to get the Earth 1 bonus as well. So this is the end of the initial setup here with the initial dwellings down. Now I've placed my river walkers here and here, so a big risk of getting cut off. Now I placed my first dwelling here to be next to the Yetis and sort of cutting off this structure here. But at that time, I wasn't so aware of the Yetis strategy of getting, I really wasn't so familiar with the Yetis and how they get so much power. So them having, being surrounded is not such a bad thing, because they're going to get so much power from these guys developing their structures here. But this grey spot I took, which would be his way out, being red, he would have dug across here, but perhaps he wasn't too worried about being cut off. I don't know. Anyway, my second initial dwelling was put here to sort of cut off, or start the process of cutting off the Oran from joining up their network, and which means I can come across here and stick a dwelling on in the first round without having to unlock any other color, because I think I wanted to keep my priest, but we'll see what actually happened. Now the fakirs have gone here and here, and the Oran here and here. So Oran, bit risky here. Can they join up their network? So we'll see what happens. Bonus cards. I chose the priest, and then fakirs chose the dig. Oran chose the shipping. Yes. Now, if the Oran hadn't chosen that shipping, then what I may have decided to do would be to join the network across the top, which I'll show you in a bit. And then the Yetis have gone for the coins and the cult step, thinking about getting more on the fire cult, I imagine. So round one, sanctuary stronghold. So let's just let the income go here. So here we are. So what happened was the Oran had taken the shipping bonus card here, 3 power and the shipping. If they hadn't taken that, then maybe I would have jumped across here, unlocked green, and taken their spot across here, thinking I could join my network across the top by then going brown and then black, thinking this is a triple dig for the Yetis to get here. But as they took the shipping, I knew they were going to place a dwelling across here. So I then knew that my only way to join up my network would be to come grey and then blue or yellow across here. So I was, quite tense. Am I going to be able to join up this network? So anyway, my plan in round one was to build a temple and get the Earth 1 bonus. So we'll let that play out. Obviously, other players are going to be building strongholds. So the Yetis build their trading post, and then the Oran take the workers. Now, Oran don't start with many workers. If they're going to build the dwelling across the water here, they do need to have the extra workers there. And fakirs dig straight away. I wasn't too worried so much about the fakirs at that stage. So I've built my trading post on my way to building my temple, and then the Yetis have gone for the stronghold, so they're going to get absolutely tons of leech. Watch their leech. They've got 4 power in bowl 3 already, but now they're going to get lots more in bowl 3 because their stronghold is worth 4 power, so they're getting 4 power each time. So the priest has been taken, the priest power action, and then I've put my priest into, okay, so because the fakirs took the priest power action and I had the priest bonus card, I put my priest into the 3 spot on the fire cult so that I get an extra 2 worker income here at the end of this round. So I knew that the fakirs would be after that spot. So then what do the... Okay, so the Yetis have used their cult step here in the water cult. Perhaps they could have burned some of this power because they're obviously going to get a lot more power off other people building. They could have burned some of that power and taken a double dig or something. See, they're getting 4 power here from the Oran. So now they have 8 power in bowl 3. No, they haven't leached the power yet. Yeah, he's leeching the power now. Now Yetis have 12 power in bowl 3, which makes them unable to then leech power from the fakirs. So that could have been a mistake there by the Yetis. So the Yetis build a trading post, and because the Yetis have 12 power in bowl 3, they can't leech any of that. And I build a temple, which gives them another potential 4 power, which they can't take. So that's 8 power Yetis missed out on by not burning some of that power there. Now he's taken the double dig, which is too late. I think he should have taken that last go. He should have seen that the power was on its way, so he should have prepared his, burned some of his, or spent some of his power back into bowl 1, so that it can be, so he can leech more power. Okay, so then the fakirs build a stronghold, which I think was a mistake because that's such an expensive building. But he's chosen the fakirs. Perhaps he thinks he has to go along with that, but I think that was a mistake. Now, Yetis get another 4 power. So they're back to 7 power in bowl 3. Now, having this with the Yetis, let's just play my next move here. I've placed my dwelling here, which obviously I planned to. So I'm thinking of joining my network. I'm under pressure to get this blue hex here. Although for the Yetis, which are red, and the fakirs, which are yellow, it's triple dig for this blue spot. So I wasn't too concerned, but I did want to get it just in case something did happen. But yeah, the obviously the Yetis have been, this is pretty much cut off because the hex you can't see above here is a black hex, which is a triple dig for them. It's very difficult for them to join it with their network, even if they were to form a town here. So he's going to abandon this structure, but to abandon the structure, he really needs to get as much leech out of it as possible, and missing that 8 leech, or was it even more, by not managing his power correctly could have been a mistake in that, a big mistake in that game, especially round 1, where you need to get as much power as possible. So he's taken a priest, which is only 2 power for the Yetis, as they get a discount, 1 less power for each power action they take. So he's obviously going to throw those into the fire cult. Fire cult, yeah. Okay, so my turn. I'm probably going to pass out. Yeah, I passed out of the round and I got the 6 coins, which is pretty good bonus card to get going into round 2. Because often you've built a temple or a stronghold and a couple of dwellings, but usually you don't have much coin income going into round 2. So getting the coins going into round 2 is fantastic. So I was very, very happy with that. And then more priests going into this fire cult. So that's fire cult is getting full up pretty quickly. Oran take the coin power action. And fakirs pass out and take the priest bonus card. And another priest for the Yetis. Where are they going to put that? And Oran pass out and take the dig. So we just wait for the Yetis to finish the round. So they're sending another priest. They've got 2 priests into the fire cult. So that gives them bonuses at the end of round 1 and 2 and 4 for that. So pretty good start by the Yetis, although it could have been better. So they get a dwelling down as well, and they've got the resources to put another dwelling down. So they're going to finish the round with the stronghold, 3 dwellings, 2 priests in the fire cult with bonuses at the end of this round and the next round. So a good start, but I think they could have had a better start because this stronghold is being pretty much cut off. This black hex that you can see now is a triple dig for them. So they need to get as much leech as they could have done. But they got a good amount of leech from it. So we'll see how that helps their economy. And they've passed out and got the 3 power and shipping scoring for the next round. So next round starts. What color did I unlock? I think I probably unlocked the green or the blue. But my plan was to take the priest power action at the beginning of this round and unlock, get both green and blue unlocked, because the priest I got from my, yeah, there we are, I'm taking the priest power action. The priest I got from my temple, I either blue or green I unlocked, and then this priest I unlocked the other one. So blue and green were both unlocked so that I can get my network joined up. Perhaps I didn't need to join it up so quickly, but I was thinking the fakirs are pretty much under pressure to form a town here. And so I need this hex and I need this hex. I need both of them. And so I don't want the fakirs to try and take the green or what. So we'll leave them the black one. So I've got the green and the blue. Yeah, that was the green I just unlocked because that cost me 2 coins. So now I've got the green and the blue unlocked. I can finish my network. So building a temple in this round wasn't much of a priority for me, really. It was the network that I was really after, which means at the end of the game, I do need to have that network, 18 points for network scoring, as I'm putting so much effort into getting this network off to a good start. So what I did was placed a dwelling here on that blue hex. And then the fakirs, I think they do a double dig here. No, they're putting a priest into the water cult because of the bonuses at the end of round 3 and 4. And Orange just developing their town down in the south there with a trading post. And they're going to turn that into a temple next go. And another trading post for the Yetis. Then my turn, this time surely I'm going to complete my network there. So another dwelling down on that green hex. So my network is, I breathe a sigh of relief at this point. It was just a case of thinking, where am I going to put my town? So now the fakirs do a double dig there on that black hex. So they can be guaranteed forming a town in that central area, but they're not going to be able to build a temple in this round. So my coin income is only 2, but as I got the 6 coins at the end of last round, I was okay for coins. And then I think I'd got one priest in the cult track, so I got 2 coins from that. A cult bonus at the end of this round. Passed out of the round and I got the trading post scoring bonus card, intending to build 2 trading posts in the next round. So it was where to build the trading posts in round 3 that I was sort of thinking of, because the trouble is with the locations that my... I'll wait for it to be clear and I'll pause it. Oh no, that's the cult tracks. Yeah, my locations here of my dwellings. Now this one certainly is going to be a town. And I've got a neighbor here, so I was going to build this into a trading post. And here, certainly wouldn't want to build that into a trading post because it can never form a town. And here, I wasn't sure whether I was going to get this. It really, really mattered whether I was going to get this yellow hex here. Now, I was very worried about the fakirs jumping over to here. Because so my plan in the next round was to grab this. So I was going to unlock the yellow and get this before the fakirs, which also means it's much more difficult for the fakirs to jump over to this hex and this hex. And so I'm going to get a good head start over the fakirs for the network, because the fakirs can really join up their network, a big network on this map very easily. So my plan was to unlock yellow and grab this and then build trading post here and trading post here. But of course I didn't want the fakirs to get this hex, so that my plan in the following round was to unlock brown and get this hex so I can form a town here, and then be building the trading post on this here would not be a waste by having it get cut off. So that's what I was thinking of. So beating the fakirs to that, hoping they're going to sort of concentrate on forming their town here and not worry about these two hexes. Okay, so Oren pass out and get the 6 coins. My power situation not looking too good, so I can't really take many coins. I think I'll have 9 coins in the next round, but then unlocking yellow is going to cost me 2 coins because yellow belongs to another player. So if you unlock a color that belongs to another player, you have to pay the priest and 2 coins. But if you unlock a color that doesn't belong to another player, it's just 1 coin and a priest. So this round 3 now is trading post. Income, so I've got 8 workers and 7 coins now. I did have 9, but I paid 2 to unlock the yellow. So first job was to place a dwelling down on this yellow hex, because the fakirs may have seen that I've unlocked yellow and may jump on this hex before I get it. So next round I'll get brown. But now with my remaining resources, I'm going to build 2 trading posts and probably convert one of these workers to a coin. So as I've already said, one's going here and one's going here. Now I was thinking of forming a town up here. Now I was also trying to build my towns in locations that wouldn't require bridges. So obviously here wouldn't require a bridge, and if I can get a 3 hex town along here. So I've built my first trading post here. Unlocking brown will enable me to take this brown hex and this brown hex next turn, as long as those fakirs don't decide to dig it. I was pretty sure the yetis weren't going to come around and dig this brown hex at the top here. So ideally I'd want this yellow hex here as well, but I think the fakirs were probably woken up to my plans by the time I get up there. So Yetis taken yet another priest. Very cheap, the priest for the Yetis, but I've managed to get the 7 coins bonus. Excellent. I managed to get enough leech. I've burned myself down to 5 power, but that's fine because I'm never going to be taking the double dig anyway, which requires 6 power. So I was very happy to get that. 6 workers and 9 coins. And I've already got one trading post out. So now, time to build my second trading post here. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do with the rest of these resources. Do I want to build another temple? At this stage, I probably decided against it. I probably decided to pass out the round and get this brown spot at the beginning of next round. Next round, round 4, is going to be dwelling scoring. So let's see what I do. At this point, I wasn't too really concerned about what other people were doing. I joined up my network. I was really only concerned about the fakirs and really, yeah. So what I've decided to do is build another trading post. Obviously, that would be more expensive, but because I managed to get that coin bonus, I decided that the trading post was probably a good idea to give me 6 coin income, so I won't have to worry too much about coins for the rest of the game. Now, a lot of people might worry about building a 6 coin trading post, and of course that's very expensive, but I was thinking I'm forming my town in these 4 hexes here, and next go I'm going to get this before the fakirs with any luck. So I won't need to bridge over, and the cost of building a trading post with no neighbor is the same as getting a bridge. Well, not the same, but it's the same added cost. A bridge is 3 power, which is equal to 3 coins, and it costs an extra 3 coins to build a trading post with no neighbor. So I thought people don't mind building bridges, then I don't mind building 1 trading post with an extra 3 coins. And it gets me an extra 3 points anyway, because this is the trading post scoring round. And I do need coin income, although it's costing me 3 extra coins to build it. I'm getting the 3 points, and I'd probably need to be building trading posts before round 6 anyway, which to build the dwellings, because I need to have more dwellings available. So I thought it's worth it. Then I can put more dwellings down in rounds 4 and 5 and then build more trading posts in the final round. So that was my thinking behind that. So fakirs passed out, and I was worried about the fakirs then taking this brown hex here, because I thought they had a priest. I thought they might put this priest and then I'd be able to pass out before them, but they passed out before me. So I was sort of thinking, will the fakirs jump here? Then they can sort of get this hex here and really get a long network. So I was going to pass out now. And what bonus card did I take? Still not focusing too much on the Oran or the Yetis. So I got the 4 coins and the cult step. So again, very happy about that, really balancing my economy. I'm going to have 5 coins and, 5 workers and 10 coins going into the next round, a dwelling scoring round. So that was ideal. Possibly put down 5 dwellings. And I do have Earth 1, so that's good points. And as I've already said, I'm planning to unlock brown. So first one I want to get is this, and make sure I can get this town completed here. Although I wouldn't complete it in the next round. I would complete it with a temple and fire too, so I can complete it with 6 power structures. Because in this game I wanted to get 3 towns. And then I would get this here, and with any luck get the yellow spot up here before the fakirs, but I was thinking the fakirs would probably get that before me. So again, we're waiting for the Yetis to pass out of the round. With all their power actions, they tend to pass out after everyone else. So the fakirs do a dig here and here, and Oran dig here. So they've got plenty of places to place dwellings, and the Yetis dig here and here. So where are the Yetis going to go for their second town? Okay, dwelling round. So I unlock brown and let the income phase complete. So I've got a good economy going here, 5 workers, but I spend 1 of those coins on unlocking brown. Yeah, my economy is looking better than my opponents at this stage. So I was very happy the fakirs went his, which allowed me to take this brown hex here. They didn't take it before me, so this is a guaranteed town later in the game. I could put another dwelling down to complete the town here, but I decided I want to keep my use of dwellings in this town to a minimum so that I can use them later to spread across here without having to build too many trading posts. So my next goal was to, not watching the other players too much, was to build on this spot here. Now, fakirs have jumped over to here with one of their priests, but they still have priests available to go here. So I've gone here, which obviously makes it very clear to the fakirs that next I want this yellow hex here. They could see that straight away, I'm sure. So what they did actually was place, and they did a carpet flight over to here, if I remember rightly. So the Oran have a town. I think they're actually doing quite well score-wise in the game, because they'd made some progress in the cults. And the Yetis get 2 workers. Okay, so we know they're going to place their dwelling up here to stop me. Yep, so they carpet flighted over to the top, that yellow spot. But I wasn't too concerned about that, because I can still form a town without a bridge with the 3 here. It just means that I need to build a sanctuary. And without any sort of sanctuary stronghold scoring later in the game, or sanctuary stronghold bonus card, it would be a bit expensive. But to form a town, the other option is to go a bridge over the water, which might have been a good option, but yeah, not that great, because there's no way for me to get through to this side of the board. I needed this green spot, so taking the black for the bridge would have mean, yeah, it wouldn't be the best way to do it. So I've gone for the green to make sure that I can then get the grey and then get across here and make my 3rd town here, which is why I wouldn't want to bridge across here if I want to have 3 towns, because they would be joined up together. So my 3rd town is sort of going to be formed across here. So got plenty of dwellings down in that round. I think it was 1, 2, 3, 4 so far. and then the 5th dwelling I can burn 1 power to get that down. So I decided to, now this was actually where I should have been thinking a bit more in this game about network, because what I decided to do, now where would you place the next dwelling? What I would do is just move those round scoring out the way a bit. There we are. So we can see the hexes over here. I was thinking, where am I going to place my next dwelling? And I'm thinking perhaps the fakirs will decide to dig this hex here, which will make forming my town a bit more difficult, because I was going to sort of bridge across to the green and the brown or the red. The reason the fakirs might go there is thinking about their distance scoring, but it'd be a lot easier for them just to go for this yellow. But here, and then bridge across here and make a town, I was thinking. So if they go, if the fakirs want this red and the brown and the yellow to form a town here, I'm best to go for the brown hex first. So that's the reason I was planning on getting that brown hex first. So to put my final dwelling down in this round, what I did was went over the water to the brown hex. So just watch me put that down here. Okay, I've got the coins again. Sorry, I've got the coin power action, which has boosted my, getting this action 4, power action 4, the coin power action is very, very useful for me here. I've got good dwelling, a good worker income with all those dwellings I've put down, and not too bad coin income anyway. So I've put my final dwelling down here. Now, yes, I think I was probably right to do that, because the fakirs could easily have dug across here, which gives them here, and then get the red hex to form a town and bridge across. But then what happened was the Yetis, who still haven't passed out of the round, what did they do? They got 2 workers, and then I think it was in the next round they actually dug the grey hex here. So we'll see what they do. So Yetis pass out of the round and get the trading post scoring bonus. And next round is also a dwelling round. So I was planning on getting the green hex. But I also wanted to form my town. So I wanted to get the sanctuary and get the fire 2 favor tile, which will allow me this to form a town and this to form a town. Now, how many dwellings do I have on the board? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I still have another dwelling down, but to go down, and I've put it here. Now I think this could have been the mistake. This could have been a mistake. I should have gone for the green, because that's stopping other people joining up a long network by getting one here. We can see the fakirs have gone here, but what happened after that? I should have thought more about this. I was just trying to give the fakirs a bit of a problem here, which was a bit of a mistake, because what happened was the Yetis then dug here later in the game. Now the fakirs have managed to get another town location here, and then I think I formed my town here. Yeah, I built my sanctuary here with fire 2, so that's 2 towns. I got 2 worker town and 7 points, and then I got the 8 points and 1 step up each cult track. So I was winning on that fire cult, and then lots of power again for the Yetis. So the Oran take the coins, and watch what the Yetis do here. So they've taken a dig. Now they've upgraded their digs, so they've gone here, and still I have got 8 dwellings on the board, so I can't place another dwelling, so I can't go on this green spot. So I needed to build a training post next. and trading post will go here, I think. That's the reason I probably took the red spot, actually, to get a neighbor. So probably wasn't that much of a mistake there, because I do need a neighbor to build a trading post on. I think then I put a priest down, didn't I? But I should have built the trading post, because then the Yetis have upgraded their shipping to 3. Now, at this stage, I was starting to really worry. I saw the Yetis have upgraded their shipping to level 3, which means they can then dig, as their color is red. They can double dig this one, which they've got 7 power in bowl 3, and it's 5 power for the Yetis to take a double dig action. And they can double dig this green spot and put a dwelling down here, which will put them in strong contention for the longest network. So I was thinking, please, Yetis, don't take this spot here. I still have to build my trading post, and then I can put the dwelling down on here. So I built the trading post here and was praying the Yetis didn't go here. I wasn't too worried about losing that fire cult, but the Yetis then took the 7 coins. I was very surprised. Why didn't they go here and get a dwelling down? That really would help them with the longest network. So with a huge sigh of relief, I put a dwelling down here, which all I needed to do then was to get the bridge, and that would complete the town. And I had 3 power in ball 3. And then I had to secure the longest network by getting some dwelling over here. But then what did the Yetis do? They decided to dig here, which still means they can potentially win that longest network. I needed to get something over here to give me a good distance right from here across to here. So that means another trading post and another dwelling. But how many trading posts did I have out? 1, 2, 3, 4. Already 4 trading posts out, which means I need to build another temple, then trading post, and then a dwelling. So it's going to take a long time for me to get the next dwelling down. So I was really watching what the Yetis were doing, and they've taken another 2 workers, so they can do another double dig here because they've upgraded their digging. So potentially they can do quite a lot of damage and potentially take that longest network. So I think I probably passed out the round. Yes, I got the shipping scoring. Now my shipping level is only 1 and can only ever be level 1. But I thought I'm better to take that rather than let the Yetis get that, because if they get it, it's 9 points. And the points were very, very close. I had a lead, but the Yetis, if they could take that longest network, then I think they could have given me some trouble. I was well out in the lead at this point, but it was only the Yetis that would have caused a problem. Oren, really no problem. They're completely separated off, and they're just working on the cults. And I'd pretty much done the damage to the fakirs by taking some of their more important hexes. So I was really just worried about the Yetis. And then another surprise came my way with the Yetis. Look at their power income, 16 power. Another surprise was to come my way anyway with the Yetis in the final round. So Oren still working on those cults, so just let them finish this round. Yeah. So we're just finishing round 5. Oren take the final scoring bonus card going into the final round. They took the trading post and 1 worker bonus card there. So I've got 4 power in bowl 3. What am I going to take? Because the fakirs, what would they take? Perhaps the dig, I should think. They took probably the dig. Okay, they didn't do anything. They just finished their town here rather than taking... Okay. They burned power to do that, did they? I'm not sure. Okay, so that leaves me with being able to take the coin power action, I think. So I think the fakir is a bad choice, and they haven't played the game particularly well, but it's quite difficult to play the fakirs at any time, really. So yeah, I took the coin power action, and then we've got the Yetis here. So what did they do? Another 2 workers, so they've got digs available. So this is excellent, really, because they've upgraded their digs, and 2 workers is equivalent to a double dig, but it's only costing them 3 power. So they had 9 power in bowl 3, so that's equivalent to getting 6 workers, which is 6 digs for only 9 power. So I've built my temple. I'm not sure what favor tile I took there. It could have been, I'm not sure which one I took. It would have been the air one. The air one, yeah, to score points at the end of the round for my trading posts. For the sanctuary, I got the fire 2 and then air 1 for this temple here. So next time I'm going to have to build a trading post. But then, yeah, now my trading post is coming up. And I wanted to think who and I'm going to give power to. Probably the, yeah, so I give 1 power to the Fakirs, who I wasn't worried about as an opposition. I didn't want to give power to the Yetis. But then the Yetis decided to dig here. And straight away I thought, uh-oh, here we go. They're going to make another town here. And so that's going to give them a few points. So immediately I knew that the gap that I'd managed to create was going to be diminished. And then with the Oran building a dwelling over here, they've got another neighbor to build another trading post on. So this was getting quite risky. Okay, so now I can finally put down my dwelling here. So this is really maxed out my network. There's really not a lot I can do. Do I want to build another temple? Only if I can score points in the cults, which I couldn't. So there's nothing else I could do apart from maybe put the priest down into the cults. But I certainly couldn't take the black hex or this blue hex here to expand the distance, because with the river walkers you can only build on hexes that neighbor rivers. So I was really hoping that the Yetis didn't manage to overtake me on this network. So the Yetis, I'd put my last priest down, and next go I intended to finish the game. So the Yetis have dug again expanding their distance and network. Now the number of structures wasn't going to be a problem, I don't think, but it was the distance. I didn't want my distance, because I'd put so much effort into scoring that distance scoring. I didn't want it to be taken by someone else who'd put less effort into that. So it was clear now that the Yetis are going to finish another town here. So with those resources, potentially I was looking at this yellow hex down here, if he managed to dig it. But what he decided to do was dig this hex here instead of the yellow hex down here. Now, if he dug that yellow hex, he would have been on for the network. So he still hasn't finished the town. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 power on that town. I'm not sure who he's got. I'm not sure whether he's got fire too, but we'll see now. So he's taken another 2 workers. So he still has plenty of power left. He still has 4 power in bowl 3. So there's still a lot of damage this guy can do. And his score is getting ever closer. Now I'd taken the shipping bonus card, which was definitely the right thing to do, because he had shipping level of 3, so that would have been 9 points. So here we are. Now he's got his power level up to 6, and still he hasn't completed the town. Okay, so another trading post completes the town, and he takes the power again, 8 power. So that gives him another 3 power in bowl 3, which he'd probably take 2 workers. He's done that. Another 7 power in bowl 2, which he can burn. So he can put down another dwelling. And that dwelling should go here to join his network up. But what does he do? He builds it here. Not join his network up. If he'd gone down here, wait, I'll just clear that symbol out the way. If he'd built that final dwelling down here, he would have had a longer network, and I think he would have matched me, or if not beaten, yeah, he would have beaten me on the network. I think we're even now on 14. So he would have beaten me on the network, and potentially he would have come much closer to me in this game. But he decided to dig down here for some reason. Okay, which left the final score 139 to me, and 133 to the Yetis, and then 111 for the Fakirs, and 110 for the Oran. So I won the game, but I think it would have been a lot closer because the distance scoring here, I've finished level with the Yetis in the end. And if they'd taken that last hex down in the bottom left, he would have been to 14. So he would have closed the gap. He would have closed the gap by 6 points, taken 3 points away from me and gained 3 points for himself. So he would have been at 139. He would have drawn the game. So he, yeah, he should have taken this yellow hex. So I breathed a huge sigh of relief, actually, when he didn't take that yellow hex. He took the one down here. So yeah, a good game, a very interesting game. But things that I would say about the River Walkers is going for the distance scoring. I mean, I got a very good distance, but you can't max it out. That's the maximum distance I could have got for the River Walkers. There's no way I could have developed this, built on this yellow or black or this black or this blue, because they're not next to a river. So you can do well on the distance scoring, but you can't always win it, and the Yetis could have won it. And also, I think the Yetis could have played their power a lot better earlier, and they could well have done a bit better in this game. Could at least have drawn me for first place. So he made it. I can see a couple of mistakes that he made in this game. What mistakes did I make? Perhaps taking this. Yeah, the Yetis made 3 big mistakes in this game, because me taking here, I was looking for a neighbor. Perhaps I should have taken this spot here, knowing the Yetis would come through here, upgrade their shipping and go down there, because the time it took me to get my next dwelling down, I had to build a temple, then a trading post, and then a dwelling. So I think this one was more important. Yeah, so bear that in mind for playing the Riverwalkers and playing the Yetis. So guys, final score 139, first place. So a little bit lucky. The Yetis made a few mistakes. I could have played things a bit better, but the mistakes I made, I think I got away with them in this game. Certainly a learning experience. So guys, I hope you enjoyed watching this game analysis video, and I'll be making some more in the future. So I'll see you again in the future. Thanks for watching, guys.